Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to explain about AWS code commit, and it's something very similar to the GitHub and a GitLab. Only thing is it is a managed AWS service. So let's move to the agenda and what are the topics I'll be covering in this video. So what is code commit? Why code commit? What are the features and workflow of code commits? Advantages and disadvantages, and comparison of code commit, GitHub and a GitLab, and the real time example for this scenario. So let's understand something. So why AWS implements this managed service? So why not GitHub? GitHub is useful for create our personal projects, for storing personal projects and using an open source project and contributing to the open source project. But when you work in an organization, you don't not use public GitHub repository. Either you have to create a GitHub private repository, or you basically implement your Git solution. For example, a lot of organization, what they do is they take GitLab and they install on the servers, and GitHub as enterprises solution, so people go with the GitHub solutions. And what AWS said is, if you want to take GitLab, that I'm not saying organization won't use GitHub, they uses GitHub also, but mostly they use a private repository, and many organization uses hosted Git solutions also. So let's understand. So what is AWS Cloud Commit? So it is fully managed source control provided by the AWS, and it is designed as a Git based repository. And here you can allow developers and team to store. You can store, manage, store and version code securely. You can store the code here. So with AWS Code Commits, user can collaborate on software development projects in a centralized and a scalable environment without need to manage their own infrastructure. Without their own infrastructure, they can also manage their project here. So it also supports all standards Git commands, making it compatible with an existing deployment workflows. Why this AWS commit code? So it eliminates the need for setup, managing, scaling, and on-premises control services, and it also handles the operational overhead and allow teams to focus on the deployment. It's built to handle growing repositories and teams seamlessly. So it ensures high availability by replicating data across multiple AWS regions, providing a robust data durability. And you can integrate with AWS AMI to enable fine-grained access control also. And permission can be customized for specific users and roles. So you can collaboration. Additionally, data in code commit is encrypted at a rest, and its transit enhance security for the sensitive code. So, so let's understand the key features of code commit. So the first thing we have is a Git compatibility. So AWS Git commit fully supports Git, allow developers to use familiar Git commands for cloning, pushing, pulling, and branching the code. So and also it integrates smoothly with an existing Git based workflow, tools and the processes. So then next we have a secure repository. So in this we can have encryption at rest and in transit. So code commit ensure data security with automatic encryption. Repository are encrypted using AWS key management services, that is KMS, for data at the rest, while secure socket layer protects data in transit. So when it's come to a IAM for access control, uh, the permission can be set using AWS identity and access management, ensuring that only authorized users can use or modify the code. Other will not uh, go to edit or modify the code. Only authorized person can do that. So Thing is continuous integration and continuous deployment. So code commit integrates seamlessly with other AWS services like AWS Code Build, AWS Code Pipeline, enable the creation of automated build and deployment pipelines. These streamline the CI/CD process and enhance the deployment speed and the efficiency. So the next thing we have is high availability. Code commit provides high availability by replicating repository across multiple AWS region. You can also replicate your data for the multiple AWS region. So these ensures reliable access to repositories and safeguards data against regional failures, enhancing reliance. So these commit combines the features of offer a secure, scalable, and developer-friendly source control solution. So how this work? So how code commits will work? So AWS Cloud Commit is a Git-based source control service that operates similar to the other Git system, but with AWS provided security, scalability, and integration benefits. So the first, it will create a repository. Users create a repository in a AWS management console. So it each repository serves as a centralized location for storing and managing code. Users can set permission using AWS identity and access management to control who can access those repository and what can make to do. So this is comes under the creator repository. Then we need to connect to the repository. So developers clone the repository to their local system using the repository's HTTPS or SSH URL. AWS Code Commit supports standard Git commands so developer can work with familiar tools like Git Bash, GitHub Depot, Desktop, and a IDE integrated Git clone. So the next we have is version control workflow. Here developer make changes to the code based local and commit those changes using GitHub commands. Changes can then be pushed to the AWS commit code repository which tracks version of files, allow developers to collaborate effectively, and common Git operations supported by the code commits includes it can be a cloning, pulling, pushing, merging, and a branching. These are the Git operations supported by the AWS code commit. You can also integrate with the AWS services that is CI/CD. So it's integrated with the code pipeline for automating build and deploy workflow. It's code build and automatically trigger build when code is pushed to the repository. And it also check for the data security and availability. So this is how this work. Typically workflow, first it's create, then clone and deploy, then push changes to the end users branch to pull request, and also it integrated with the pipeline. This is how the code command will work. So let's understand what are the advantages and disadvantages of this. So when it's come to its advantages, so first it is a managed Git. So AWS Code Commit is fully managed service, eliminating the need to set up and maintain Git servers. So and it also handles infrastructure stacks tasks like such as scaling, backup, servers maintenance, allow developers to focus on the code. So next is it is a scalability. So code commit automatically scales to accommodate so growing repositories and a larger team without performance degradation. It also support a virtual unlimited number of repositories, files, and branches. And the last thing we have is comes under the advantages is it's a reliability. So high availability is ensured through data replication across multiple AWS region, and it provides a strong data durability and fault tolerance, making dependable choice for mission critical application. So when it's come to its disadvantages of the cloud commit, so it has a less future means fewer feature because compared to platforms like GitHub and a GitLab, code commit has a fewer built-in features such as advanced project management tools, detail analytics, or the community driven integration. It's focused primarily on being a repository hosting services without additional tools for collaborations or a code review. So the next, it has a few AWS complete AWS, it has a restricted. So code commit is deeply integrated into AWS ecosystem, which means it's best suited for the projects already using other AWS services, and organization not using AWS may find it less appealing as it's required as a dependency on AWS infrastructures. It's less integrated with services outside the AWS. While Code Commit integrates seamlessly with AWS services like Code Build, Code Pipeline, and a Lambda, it has fewer directed integrated with third-party tools or CI/CD platforms outside AWS. These may limit flexibilities for organization that really on non-AWS tools or a multi-cloud strategies. So the next is comparison of AWS code commit with GitHub and a GitLab. So here we have a three features. The first thing, fully managed. Second one, AWS integration. Third one is on-prem supports. So let's understand what the three things are. So when it's come to the fully managed, so the AWS cloud code commit fully managed services where AWS handles infrastructure, scalings, maintenance, idle for developers, focusing on code without server managers. So when it's request GitHub hosted plans for managed experience or self-hosting with GitHub Enterprises servers, and it also offers both fully managed and self-managed options, given flexibility to users. So when it's come to a fully managed, it is accessible for AWS code commit, and it's not works with the GitHub, and also it's work with the GitHub. So when it's come to a AWS integration, so AWS code commit deeply integrated into the AWS ecosystem, allows seamlessly connection with services like code pipeline, code build, and IAM authentication. When it's come to a GitHub, it does not have a native AWS integration, but also can connect through the APIs or a third party tools. So when it's come to a GitLab, it's similar to a GitHub. GitLab can connect to AWS services but lacks built to native integration. So when it's come to on-premises supports, so AWS code commit exclusively cloud based, no on-premises deployment operation. So when it's come to GitHub, it offers a GitHub Enterprises services for an on-premises setups, providing flexibility for organization with strict data residency and requirements. So when it's come to a GitLab, provides extensive or on-premises supports, making it popular for enterprises that prefer self-hosted solution. So which tool is? So means here we have a AWS code commit, GitHub, and a GitLab. Which chooses the right tool? Which is the right tool? So uses AWS code commit if you are already using AWS services and want to deep integration. If you want and already you are using AWS resources, then go with the AWS code commit, and you prefer a fully managed scalable source control solutions. So use GitHub if you need a platform with a large open source community and advanced collaboration features. On premises deployment is required for a specific use cases. So when you use GitLab, if you want an all-in-one DevOps platform with extensive CI/CD features, on-premise deployment, and flexibility in work. So if you want CI/CD features, so go on a GitLab. So the next topic we have is a real-time example for AWS Cloud Commit. So in this, I have taken a scenario for e-commerce website deployment. So, an e commerce company ShopNow is deploying its platform with a team of developers located across the global. The company wants to centralize its code base, secure its intellectual properties, enable efficient collaboration, and automates deployment, avoid managing Git services. So solution, what are the solution made finds by using AWS code commits? So first thing, it's set up the repository. So the team creates a private Git repository on AWS code commit named Shop Now platform. The name is the Shop Now platform. Access permissions are configured using AWS IAM to ensure developer only have the required access, that is read and write. So the next thing, after they set up the repository, so the next they need to check with the developer workflow. Developers clone the shop now platform repository locally and work on features branches on specific task, and its changes are committed and pushed to the repository for review and integration. After workflow, they check with the continuous integration. AWS code pipeline is configured to integrate whenever code is pushed to the main branch. Code pipeline initiates a build process using AWS code build to compile the code, run, test, and package the applications. After CI, next is continuous deployment. After a successful build, code pipeline deploys the application to the staging or a production environment using AWS code deploy. The deployment process is monitored using AWS CloudWatch performance metrics and error logs. The last is notification. It uses SNS. This integrates to send email notification to the team for events like code pushes, build failure, or a deployment success. From this, what they gained, what benefits they gain. So from this, they can centralize collaboration. Developers from different region collaborate seamlessly using code command. And security, the sensitive code is protected with encryption and IMA based access controls. Automation, CI/CD pipelines save types and ensure consistent deployment. Scalability, as the repository goes, AWS code commit automatically scales without performance issue. The last thing is code efficient. No need to invest on premises infrastructure or a third party for Git hosting. So by this, the conclusion is AWS code commit enable the e-commerce company to efficiently manage its deployment workflow, secure its code bases, and automate its deployment process, ensuring faster feature rollout and a reliable platform. So let's move to the AWS and I'll show the AWS code commit. So firstly, you can start with the root account for this demonstration. Of course, once we move on ahead with the IMA user, root account will not be suitable for this demo. I'll tell you why. Because AWS Cloud Commit does not work well with the root account. There are some restrictions with the respect to accessing these and with respect to SSH and HTTPS. So we will be switched to the AWS. We cannot create or we cannot access the AWS code commit because of the security purpose, because it's not work with the root access. So we need to switch with the IAM user. Firstly, we need to create a IMA user. I'll show you IAM. So click on create user. So give the name for this. So I'm giving code a commit user. So provide. So I want to create an IAM user. So select for the custom password. So give the custom password. So click on next. So we need to attach the policy for this. So it's we don't want to add a group to the user or a copy permission we don't want. I am directly attaching the policies. So here type code commit. So yes, select for the second option, that is a code commit power user. For the power user, with power you can get all the access that are required for you to try to demonstrate for enable everything you get in a power user. So click on next. So and click on a create user. So this is how the um, IMA user will created. So let's switch so let's try to switch account from the root to the IMA user. I need to give the IMA username. So copy the IMA username and paste it over here. So we need to give the password for this. So click on sign in. So in the IMA user, I have given the access for only for the code commit. So go to AWS code commit. So let's create repository. So give the repository name called demo project. Description: creating demo project for AWS code commit. The rest of the thing will be same. So click on create. So this will showing an error that's telling that creating repository request is not allowed because there is no existing repository in this AWS account or a AWS organization. So also they said they given the warning that AWS code commit is no longer available to new customer. Existing customer of the AWS code commit can continue to use the service as a normal. So these account I'm using from before, I think last 5 months. So that's why it's not showing to me, and I cannot create these repository now. As of now, I need to request to the AWS helpline for this. So yes, once the code commit well created, we can build, deploy, and pipeline those things. This is how the code commit will work. And that's all about the AWS code commit. Thank you.